Okay, so here's some rules for the forms of matter. Elements are the form from the periodic table. So if you look at your periodic table, it's going to tell you if it's a solid, liquid, or gas. Okay? Acids are always aqueous. That's the definition of an acid. It's dissolved in water. Water is always going to be liquid unless it tells you. CO2 is always a gas. Hydrocarbons are always a gas. Now, hydrocarbons are things that have hydrogen and carbon in them. Okay, pretty self-explanatory there. Ionic compounds are always aqueous unless they're insoluble. Now, on the back of your periodic table, there's a solubility table, and that will tell you whether they're soluble or not. So if it's ionic, meaning it has a positive and negative charge, or a metal and a nonmetal, you have to look that up. Nonmetal oxides are always gaseous. So a nonmetal oxide would be like carbon dioxide or sulfur dioxide. Something with two nonmetals, one of them being oxygen. Covalent compounds formed from gases are going to also be gaseous. Now, you guys, you have to know these rules. These rules you're going to be tested on the quiz. And one more reminder. Remember the diatomic molecules. They exist. And when you write them down in an equation, they have to be written down in pairs. So if it says hydrogen gas is reacting, I can't just write down H. I have to write down H2. If bromine is reacting, I can't just write down Br. I have to write down Br2. Okay, guys, so here's some examples. So let's start at the beginning, hydrogen gas. So I know hydrogen is H. Now, whenever you have an element, you want to check to make sure it's not diatomic. And if I look on the front of my periodic table, look, hydrogen is diatomic. Okay, so I'm going to write H2. It's gas, so I'm going to write a little g. Reacts with. Reacts with is going to be a plus sign. Then I'm going to write oxygen. I know oxygen's O. Oxygen's an element, so I'm going to double check that list again. Oxygen's right here. Oxygen is diatomic. So I'm going to put a little 2. And then again, oxygen's a gas, so that's a little g. To produce is going to be your arrow. to make equals that sort of thing. Liquid water. I know water is H2O. And liquid. And that's it. Obviously, that's a pretty simple one. Fluorine. Fluorine is F. That's an element. So I'm going to check that diatomic list. Fluorine's on it. So that's F little 2. Now, it doesn't tell me whether that's a solid, liquid, or gas. So I need to look up fluorine. I know based on the font. And so fluorine is right here. Fluorine is the outline, so fluorine is a gas. Okay. Reacts with water. Water is H2O. And one of our rules is that water is a liquid unless otherwise stated. Produce hydrofluoric acid. If you remember, hydrofluoric means that it's just an acid, so it starts with an H and it's just one other element. So fluoric would be fluorine, right? So F. So the charge of fluorine is 1, so it's just HF. And acids are always aqueous, remember? And plus sign, oxygen. We already talked about oxygen being diatomic. Now oxygen doesn't tell me, but oxygen's a gas. Okay? Word equation. Methane gas. Now methane is a hydrocarbon, so they have to give that formula to me. I'm not going to know it. There's no rule for that. Reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. And what was the rule about hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are always gases. Reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. Now, how did I know that carbon dioxide was a gas? Well, we talked about in our rules that nonmetal oxides are gases. And water. Water is a liquid unless they tell me otherwise. So, there are some examples. This is going to be fairly difficult for you at first. You're going to have to take it one step at a time, ask questions, check your answers, but stay with it and you'll get it.